Welcome back to the Tomahawk. I'm Mike. This is Matt. We're going to go over quickly the Florida series, and we're going to go over the series that just finished, the Nashville series. But before we get into it, do us a favor, hit subscribe, give us a like. It really helps out the channel, and it just helps us out, period, and we'd really appreciate it. So to start off with Florida, we had two big wins with Florida, and we were really hoping that we could even split the series. We won both games. It was huge. Lankinen played great, and we saw the team play well. Brandon Hagel was a force to be reckoned with. Pius Suter played great, and moving forward from there, things were looking pretty good. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like the wheels fell off of the bus going into this Nashville series. Matt, from the positives that we had from the Florida series coming into this one, what happened? It looked like there was two different teams playing.
Yeah, man, I'm not sure what happened. I know Nashville, they're playing with a lot of desperation. They're they were pretty much at the bottom with the Red Wings, and they're a one game over 500 now, and they're just playing good hockey. I think I saw that stat. Saros is 6-1 in his stretch, and you're getting good goaltending and with Rene and Saros, and they're finally looks like they're getting it together. And I know Matt Duchene hasn't been doing well, and Ryan Johansson, he's kind of getting going, and Nashville's just playing really good hockey right now, and I think the Hawks probably got a little too much confidence. Hey, we just beat Florida, and yeah, we'll be fine. And the first game they were, not really much to talk about
at all.
They were just flat. Today, I remember me and you had a texting exchange, and I said, wow, when DeBrincat scored that second goal, the Hawks were all over these guys, and it's just a little too late. And it ran out of time, and that's what happens. And you give up two terrible goals by Subban. Well, at least I'll give him credit. I know the first one, stay in your net, man. You got a guy 5 feet away, stay in your net.
Yeah.
And those goals kill you, and they haunt you.
They do. It's pretty disconcerting. They played Florida, came back to Tampa, played Florida again. And we're talking about some tough teams, man, that are at the top of the division. And the Hawks, they hung in there with them. This is just brutal to see. Malcolm Subban today, and I'm not saying Lankinen gets a pass here, because I don't think he really played very well in the Nashville series. I think he could have played better, but it seemed like the defense was just all over the place, or lack thereof, I should say. They just weren't playing well. Why do you think that there would be so many defensive woes coming into these two games? And also, Ian Mitchell was a scratch, and Bowden is in playing. Do you think that on top of that, do you think that Colleton is playing the best players so that we could get the best result?
Don't. And I think honestly, I thought our defense was bad in the Panthers games as well, and we're giving up way too many shots. And Lankinen, that shutout game, it's not going to happen every night.
Right.
And he won that game for us, no doubt about it. That was all Lankinen. And of course, the guy's probably a little shell-shocked a little bit going into his next game. He's like, oh man, I'm got to get ready for another big night. And some goalies aren't wired for that, but some goalies, like, I guess Marty Brodeur used to be like a 70 freaking season, 70 games a season guy. I think Roberto Luongo played a lot, but he's still a young kid. You can't expect him to be having an amazing night every night like this. And as far as your question about the players, the best players, no, I don't think he puts out the best players, because if he wanted to win tonight. I still think Lincoln. I know it's back to back. I don't know how I feel with coaches are weird about stuff. I can't play a guy back to back, but I mean we're desperate right now. We want to hold our playoff spot, and Nashville caught us. Columbus is knocking on the door too. So you need your best guy to be in the pipes, I think.
It begs the question where if they were looking to bring Kirby Dach, back so soon, okay, he did great with his rehab. He was supposed to be out 4 to 5 months, and or 5 to 6 months, I believe, and they rushed him back. So if there was such an impedance on bringing him back, you would think that they would be playing Leighton every night. Now, sure, this is his first season in the league, and maybe him playing so much wouldn't be a good thing. But do you think that he could just use the experience?
Are we talking about Lincoln?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a tryout for him. I mean, even Subban, I mean, like, hey, this is a short season. Let's see what you got, and maybe you'll be our future. And I think he's kind of earned it out of all three of them that we've seen. But I don't see if we're play the guy who's going to give you a chance to win. And I think when Subban's in net, you're going to get inconsistent play. And look at the first goal of the game. We were playing behind the first 3 minutes, and
yeah,
it's tough to play behind the whole game. I mean, we finally tied it in the third, but still, I want to say in the next 2 to 4 minutes they scored another one.
Yeah.
And you're just not going to get a big save from him. He does make big saves, but he needs to make the saves that he should make. And I'll give him the benefit on that second one that went off. Did it go off DeHaan, I think?
Yeah, it was DeHaan was going in, and him and another player, it went off of their skate. It wasn't in a kicking motion, but it ricocheted off of the skate.
Yeah, poor DeHaan. He had an unlucky night. But that first one, I played goalie for 15 years, and if I see an opposing player within 5 feet of me, where do you think I'm going to throw the puck? The guy is probably over 6 foot. I'm got a goalie stick in my hand. If I throw it up the middle, my net's wide open if I turn it over. If I throw it up the boards, I'm going to hit him in the chest. And that's exactly what he did. He got to the net lazy, slow, didn't have his net covered. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a lucky goal. The guy put it off a skate. It went off his pad and in. But goalies cannot give that shot up because it's going to haunt you, and it did. And you just can't ever give up a goal behind the net. My coach would pull me if I gave that up in high school.
I got another question for you. So off of the third goal, the Dach passed it to the middle. It ricocheted off of Zadorov's stick, and then it went to Nashville. Do you think that goal was Dach's fault?
No, because Kirby Dach grabbed the open man, and that's the job of the center. And I think that's on Zadorov because did he turn the puck over?
Well, what happened was Dach passed it in, and then it went off of Zadorov's stick, and then it went to a Nashville player.
And he was wide open, right?
And then they did that passing play, and then Josie,
trying to remember.
Josie,
the captain.
Yeah, he came in through the middle and shot it.
No, I don't think that's Dach's fault because if Dach left that man open who was going to the opposite side, it would have been his fault if that guy had got the puck and scored because the center has to cover the slot, and that's what he did. Actually, if we're going to be going over responsibility and assignments, that defenseman, which was Yossi, is the winger's. That's his assignment.
Right.
I don't know who was on the wing, but it looks like the Hawks might have been in a change at the time. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the goal if I can in the next couple seconds. But the wingers, that's their job. Their assignments are the point men, and I guess Kirby did the right thing, and it's lucky. That's why that guy's a good defenseman. He knows when to take a chance and step in, and he buried it. And I don't blame Subban on that one at all. That's just shitty assignment playing by the Hawks, and they left a winger left his man wide open, and he's an elite defenseman who could score goals, and he let us have it.
Yeah, in saying that was, talking about assignments, I think that's the left wing's responsibility, and I think that he was out on a change. But I have to call out the commentating on this, because when you listen to a Hawks game and Olczyk and Foley are calling a game, now I'm a big fan of both. I like them both. But they will never, ever fault the goalie or anybody or on a goal, ever.
In between periods, they give their analysis.
Right.
Steve Conroy's the worst. I love Jamal Mayer as a player, but I think he's got a job now, and his job is to make the Hawks look good. He's not going to say, "Oh, the Hawks were terrible that period," but can you see him as a player if, say, someone missed their assignment? I could see Jamal Mayers being in the locker room. Dude, you got to get your assignment on that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Even like a coach. But these guys, they're not going to, they're selling the Hawks. You know what I mean? They're not going to badmouth the Hawks because they don't want to lose their jobs.
Right.
So you're not going to get honesty like you would, say, two Joes like me and you. We're going to say, dude, Subban, what the hell are you doing, man? That's killing us.
Yeah.
They're not going to say any of that, but I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's they don't lay any fault. And what they did was they threw Kirby Dach out to the Wolves. We're talking about a kid who's 20 years old, just came off of the long-term injured reserve. It's his second game, and they threw this kid to the Wolves, pretty much blaming on him for his pass that ricocheted off of a Hawks defenseman. On top of that. And you know what? I think it's bullshit, dude. I think it's bullshit how they do that.
I'm looking at the goal right now. I got it on my iPad right now. And if we're going to blame anybody, I just watched it in slow motion. Yossi, he did turn the puck over. Doc turned the puck over. But Brandon Hagel, that was his assignment. And Yossi looked. Hagel knew he was caught because he turned the Jets on to try to catch him. I just watched it. You cannot blame a guy who hasn't played since Christmas for something like that.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, talk with two teams trying in a playoff hunt, and he gets dropped right in the middle of it. Fresh, he just rehabbed, Yeah, it was Olczyk.
I feel like every time he was yelling too many men. Did you notice that?
He did that in the last game too.
Times. I'm like, dude, really? They change on the fly sometimes, but if the puck actually hit the guy getting off the ice, they're going to call it too many men. But very rarely they're going to call a guy changing a little slower than usual because there's, say, 6 guys on the ice. But I'm like, man, this guy's crazy about this too many men call. He kept going on and on about it.
Yeah.
But I like Eddie too. But sometimes I've said this before with Foley. I feel like those two are two buddies just having a good time, and they're goofing off a little too much. And it's come on, guys, let's call the game and get the names right.
Right.
Let's call the guy by his right name.
Sure. So moving forward, we have the Hawks are going to play. Who are they playing next? Carolina. That's right. So they're playing Carolina next. That's going to be obviously a huge series because. It's just from now on until the playoffs. I mean, it's just on for them. It was a rough March, and it looks like it's going to be another rough April for them. Going forward, they have to put the best players on the ice, and everybody needs to play well. Give Kirby Dach the benefit of the doubt, but if he's not up to speed, then he needs to be playing on the lower lines, and not on the top lines. Do you have any NHL news? Anything for the sin bin to move forward? Because it's just it's just brutality. Just thinking about this last game, I'm sure a lot of people who are listening watched the game, and I'd like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, because it was pretty bad, but it's time to move forward. What do you got, man?
I just want to give DeBrincat credit, because I thought he was really trying to get that hat trick the last 7 minutes. He was playing good, and he had that second goal was a beauty. But other than that, I agree with you. Let's just move on, because honestly, we should have had 2 wins there. But anyway, around the league, Aaron Ekblad took a nasty. It was like a collision, and he fell really funny, and he's going to be out for some time. It looks like he might have had a broken leg. It looks like he even was yelling, "Ew, it's broke, it's broke!" And I felt so bad for the guy, because I feel like this season he's really kind of turned his game around. He looks real. He's playing real well. He scored a couple goals against the Hawks, and I hope he gets back soon. But that team is starting to get some injuries. Aaron Ekblad is a great defenseman for them. They lost their captain against the Hawks and Barkov, and so Florida could struggle here, which would benefit the Hawks. Other news, I still see that Ovechkin scoring here in and here out, and just climbing up the list of all time leading goals and everything. And other news, Eric Stahl got traded to the Canadiens.
Wow.
And he's pumped about that, and I'm kind of pumped for him too. I'd like to see him succeed in an organization that actually cares about winning right now. I know Buffalo is on a terrible losing streak. I think they're at 17 to 16 games or whatever, and that's
holy smoke.
That's got to be painful for these guys, and they're going to clean house. So expect Taylor Hall to probably be on the road. There's another guy, Monador, defenseman, who even said today he's pretty sure he's on his way out, and he's a pretty solid defenseman.
Steve Monador?
But I think it's Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon, yeah, he even said that he's expecting to go, and even when Eric Stahl got traded, he had nice things to say about Buffalo, and just said they're a ways behind. And the GM Kevin Adams, actually a former Hawk for a season, I think we had him. He said he's doing the right things down there. It's just they're not getting the wins, and unfortunately that's what you need. And he's not getting them. And I've heard some rumors, like we said in the last show, with Jonathan Quick to Toronto. But I honestly think it's just rumors. So we will see.
That would be interesting. Jonathan Quick to Toronto. I wonder, because he hasn't. His play has been really up and down, but the Kings aren't really a team to really look out for, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're kind of like the Hawks. They're kind of transitioning. They got like an old core like we have, and I think Dustin Brown is Jeff Carter. Kopitar is still an effective player. Drew Doughty is a good player, but those guys have got a lot of miles on them, like our guys. And I still feel like Kaner is way ahead of these guys, and he's been playing more games than them. It just shows you how much of a freak he is. He's still putting up the numbers. I think he had 2 assists tonight again.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just it sucks. Teams get old, and then the organizations change, and got to go through a rebuild and reloading everything. And so if they do get rid of Quick, I just don't know why it would be Toronto. I know Anderson's their guy, and maybe he's hurt, or maybe they're just want to have a backup plan in the playoffs, because Quick does have Stanley Cup experience. He's got 2 of them.
Yeah, it makes you wonder with Quick, does he have enough left in the tank? Because it seems like he's kind of like his star's kind of fallen kind of quickly, to be honest with you. He had a big contract, looks like he's playing out that contract, but you just don't hear anything about him anymore.
Nah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly, this rumor is the first time I heard it quick this season.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a backup, a very expensive backup, and I think they found a young guy, but and unfortunately, young guys struggle, and quick kind of won his net back and lost it again. And I don't know who the other goalie is. I'm sorry, but it happens. I mean, even it might happen with Lincoln, and we might, there might be a time where Subban's going to get more starts, and then vice versa, But I think he's making close to $7 million. It's just I don't know where Toronto's getting the money, honestly. They got three guys making over $10 million or even $12 million, I think. And
Yeah.
maybe they'll retain the salary, or honestly, I don't know. But I know Toronto's going to go for it because it's kind of set up nice for them. They're definitely the best team in that division. So I could see him being the last man standing in that one.
Yeah, I was going to bring up their cap space because they can't have. To be honest with you, they can't have any cap space.
I honestly don't know. I think like we had Justin on. He's a Toronto guy. He said it goes from Marner, Tavares, and Matthews, and then it just pretty much drops to third liners. And they're, you got a couple guys making 3, 4 here and there, and there's really no. You don't really have role players. You got guys that are just stepping in, and you got to just hope that your top 3 just perform every night.
Yeah, it seems like they're set up where they're top loaded. Then they've got a bunch of AHLers play. I mean, no disrespect to the AHLers or any of these players, But I mean, in order to build a championship teams, you need quality players of all the way down the lineup, And if you only have 3 superstars, I don't see how that's going to work out there.
I don't. I think it goes. I would consider. I don't know about you, but the 4th, like best player would be that Nylander, and I think he's only making about 6.
Yeah.
And 6 to 12. Geez, that's $6 million right there. You could get, if you manage it right, 3 players, that are role players. Like checkers and penalty kill specialists, power play guy, or even a backup goalie.
Yeah, you could, or one really good backup goalie.
Yeah, and I think their best defenseman is that Morgan Riley, and I'm not sure what he's a talented player, but I just named 6 or 5 players. It's got to be close. Like what do you think? 40, 45, 50 million?
I know.
Just with 4 players.
I know Tavares, he's making 13 million, right?
Yeah, he's 13, probably close to 14.
And obviously Matthews, he's making 13 million as well, isn't he? 13.5?
Yeah, he's their future, but I can't believe
But that's like 26, 27 million dollars right there.
I know when we signed Kane and Taves to that long contract, the 10, I think what are they, 10-5?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. We just blew our team up.
Yeah.
And for a season, we pretty much did. But then I see these contracts, I'm like, these guys haven't won anything.
Yeah.
They haven't even won a playoff series. And it's like, maybe their contract looks good.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Kaner, if anything, Kaner's underpaid the way he's played.
Yeah. Yeah. And what McDavid's making 12.5, something like that?
The guy's a superstar, but
yeah.
I mean, you can win as many scoring titles as you want. If it's not, your name's not on the cup, it really doesn't matter to me.
I guess to the owner, he's selling jerseys and he's going to put people back in the seats. So,
business standpoint, maybe it's a good move for him.
Yeah, that's a part of it.
I know McDavid, I could tell the guy's hungry. He wants to win,
yeah.
But like, I just don't see how you could sign that contract knowing like, oh man, all right, so how are we going to fill in the rest of our team? You know? I mean, they don't have a goalie. Their defense is terrible. They're not going to win anything. I mean, we beat them last year. We beat them in the qualifying round.
We played. Yeah, you got to admit though that Hawks played pretty well though in that qualifying round.
Thank God, Dominic Kubalik had one of the best games of his life. I think he had like 5-6 points the one game.
Yeah,
but
and Taves had 2 games with 2 goals or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but those guys were the first seed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then we ended up playing Vegas and getting smoked, but still, I mean, they're picked to be good every year. You got the two best players in the league. There's no reason why you guys can't.
Would you consider Leon Draisaitl one better than Austin Matthews?
Yes, I do, because I think that he plays a more complete game. Matthews, you just know he's going to fire the puck.
Yeah.
And I think Draisaitl could pass. He could score. And McDavid was out for a while. Draisaitl carried that team.
You know what, man? I think Draisaitl's a very underrated passer.
It sucks because he's kind of in the shadow of McDavid. And McDavid is so good. But I was happy for the guy when he won the MVP last year because he deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah, Draisaitl.
I'm a big fan of Matthews, but I don't think he's better than Draisaitl. I don't.
Yeah, I saw Draisaitl make a backhanded pass from behind the blue line through two players to practically the slot to another guy in stride, and it was a saucer. It was a beautiful one, man. I couldn't believe he made that pass, and the guy scored.
Yeah, he's incredible, and don't get me wrong, Matthews, man, he could fire, like he could snipe, man, even a backhand. And I remember that Hawks game. It was up in Chicago. It was like an 8-7 game.
Yeah.
Went to OT. Him and Kane kind of traded off the the crowd.
That's when I hated that day. Was when I hated Matthews.
Oh yeah, his shot though, that the go-ahead goal before Kane tied it. That was an amazing shot, and I think
it was.
I think Forsberg. Right? Like remember, Arnold was a Cam Ward. I can't remember, but I felt so bad for the goalie because he had like this much space to score, and Matthews found it. Yeah, and that's just a pure sniper right there. Those guys see a little bit of net and they'll just take it.
Right,
it's amazing.
Right. Well, cool, man. Do you got anything else?
No, man.
Cool. Well, we will be back after the Carolina series. Hopefully we get 2 wins because we need them. We need every point that we can get. And we need the top teams to beat up on the bottom teams as well. So
absolutely.
So I guess we'll take anything that we can get. Thank you for listening. And we will see you guys on the next one. This is Mike and Matt. We're out of here.